Hello. I didn't recognize who I am. As such a figure in this conference here and there, and I went down to the second floor. There is a post session, and the people are all talking and presenting their papers. Which is a delightful moment. I see, wow, post session is actively moving. Okay. And I forgot, this important figure again, seventh floor. Okay, today's session is we are inviting a very important, really important, not just important, really important person for people, and moderating by Zhang Xiang, my daughter, from Sichuan province. It's a far countryside. He was born in 60 something. So back then, that time is China is a bit okay. And the second, we have not rising star, it's a rising star. Rising star. He already is quite popular in Korea, Hong Kong, London, and the temple. So he enjoyed his life alone. Okay, and then third, her name is my name, Koo, Kathleen Koo. She's from Torrance University, Australia, and she's editor-in-chief as tourism management. It's good. It's Assistant General of Tourism Management. That means it's that much important. So I'm glad to invite Kathleen Koo to this conference. And final, the most important person, is a local person, Lawrence Fong. He's a Vice Dean of the University of Macau, which means he's an important figure in this region, right? Please welcome to chat. Whatever you say, we accept.
You don't have to say anything. I got it. I got this. Come. The title of this panel is called Research Guide, right? I don't know what that means, but I think the panel is quite unique in the sense that even though they're probably junior of my age, right, but they're all established scholars, not just scholars in terms of research, but scholars in terms of the engagement with the communities, service to the communities. So I feel this panel is quite unique in that sense. And for me, I would like to use this panel not to provide research guide, because we've been talking about research guide, directions, what it means in terms of theory, in terms of contribution to the literature, that kind of stuff in the last several sessions, right? So let's do something different. I would like to use this maybe 15 minutes of our time to kind of ask them to share their career paths. How did you get there, right? What do you think are the important things that through your academic career until this moment, right? And what did you do, right? I know scholarship, we understand all this, but I do want to pick your brain, and I want to remind you, right, as the panelist, talking to our young people, not talking to, try not to talk to the senior established scholars. So the message should be meant for the young people. I think if we can do that, that'd be perfect. Okay? So Dr. Koo, Professor Koo actually gave a very brief introduction. to you guys, but I kind of know you, right, from the different kind of interactions with you. But I do want to give the time to yourself to maybe say a few words, maybe 2, 3, 5 minutes about who you are, what have you done, and where are you at right now. Is that okay? Yeah. Starting with Professor Park.
Hello, everyone. It is a really great honor to participate in this conference and then as one of the members in this panel session. As you can see here, my name is Sang-won Park. I'm at Kyung University. I just joined the Kyung University about 4 years, and then before joining Kyung, I used to work in the Hong Kong Polytechnic University as an associate professor for about 4 years. Before I joined in Hong Kong, I used to work in the UK, University of Surrey, about 6 years-ish. So in total now, as an academic career is about 15 years approximately. And then I did my study under the Professor Dan Fezemeyer at the Temple University. So likewise, Uli, Phil, and then Young Bear there, so all the dance group, I would say that. Well, this is much as a career path, and then as I mentioned yesterday, I'm also having such a leadership in one of the journal as a role of the managing editor in towards management. This is what I'm doing now. Okay, so briefly who I am, and then to address the question from Phil asking that, what makes me here? Should I say now or after? Okay, later, okay. So this is who I am. Yeah.
Why not? Okay, thank you, Catherine. Hi, everyone. I'm Lawrence. Actually, I always say I'm a local boy here. I was born and raised in Macau, and then I finished my bachelor's degree in University of Macau, where now I'm working as an associate dean in the Faculty of Business Administration. Actually, for my bachelor's degree is not in tourism, because at that time in my university we didn't have that major. So actually, my major was finance. And then for master, actually, I studied management. Eventually, I finished my PhD degree in Hong Kong Polytechnic University for tourism and hotel management. Actually, I started my academic career quite late. Why? I would say that actually, when my first daughter was born, around 6 months, and then I started my PhD. Yeah, so that I became a father already when I started my PhD. So, and then I finished my PhD degree in 2013, and starting from 2014, around 11 years ago, I started my career. And then currently, I'm the associate editor of the Journal of Hospitality and Tourism Research. And luckily, last year, I've got a chance to be the president of the APAC QUI, and this year, I'm the immediate past president. I know Phil mentioned that for this section, we're going to do a show. All of us are the performers. We want to have a casual conversation. I think this is a good warm-up. So now I pass my mic to Catherine.
That's why we passed it over. Hi. I'm Catherine. I don't have a direct path as these guys have had. My undergraduate was actually a bachelor's in education with an honors, and then my master's was actually also in education, but educational psychology. And then my PhD is also not in tourism. My PhD was in real estate and consumer. So I've never really been in tourism, and all my life, I started and sold businesses for profit. I had 2 training centers and 2 consultancies before I started my PhD. And I started my PhD by chance because I was hired to go to New Zealand to help someone start a business, a language school actually in New Zealand. And after I've done that, I didn't want to go back to Malaysia where I was from. And then I was offered to do a PhD, so I said yes, because I saw all the PhD students traveling, and I loved that. And then I happened to fall in love. Like, I loved knowledge and the pursuit of it. I loved the thinking, and I didn't know how to write, but I eventually learned how to write, and I fell in love with the process of writing and thinking. And then, yeah, I just love the whole learning experience. And then, so I still wasn't in tourism when I finished my PhD. The moment I submitted my draft, I got married and I went on a honeymoon. The moment while on honeymoon, I got pregnant, and when I went back, I had a baby, and my PhD results came out at the same time that my baby came out, on the same day. And so I defended my PhD when my baby was less than a month old. So it was all a fabulous experience, because having a baby meant that I wasn't so worried about the defense itself. And the defense was actually a beautiful experience for me. I had a really great experience at the University of Otago. And then I got a job. My father became very sick in Malaysia, and I got a job at Taylor's University in Malaysia. And I was willing to take any job to be in Malaysia, to be with my family. And it happened to be the School of Hospitality and Tourism. And that's how I got into hospitality and tourism. And there was no turning back, because it's a vibrant, exciting industry that I love, and travel has been in my blood. So then I turned my consultancy experiences into consulting for the hospitality and tourism industry, and I did both at the same time, because while I love academia, I still love the practicality of consultancy and the real world, and that's how I became a consultant for the United Nations Tourism and the Hotel Association. So that's been my journey. It's not as straightforward, but I think I want to tell this story, because you might be sitting in there thinking, like I'm too late, or like Lawrence said, you became a father when you started. I, didn't start from tourism. So anything can be done, but you just have to find who you are.
Fantastic, Catherine. Everyone, I think this is great. So let me ask you guys, how many among the audience are graduate students, master's, PhD students, undergrad students? No? So we have quite a few, right? So I guess this is the kind of the audience we want to engage with. So Catherine, you mentioned about your journey, and Lawrence as well, right? Someone a little bit about PhD, right? Going through a PhD, now I realize the PhD, of course, serves the foundation for you guys, right? Whether it's scholarship or consulting or leadership, right? Engaging with the community. So you have to get the PhD, right? So when I was the PhD student, Uli, we share the same advisor who always tell us, right? A PhD is really about, it's about knowledge, it's about publishing, but eventually it's about becoming a thoughtful person, right? I think he was 100% correct, right? Reflecting on, say, our career paths, yes, PhD actually enables you to do that. So this is my interpretation of, getting a PhD, right? It's about understanding something, right? In a deeper way, which is fantastic. So let me ask you, our panelists, starting maybe with Catherine, what does it mean, why do you want to pursue a PhD, and what does it mean to you personally?
To me, like I said, I got the opportunity to PhD, but when I was doing the PhD, the best experience I've had is to become a thinker, to know what kind of questions to ask, and to find the answers to those questions through time and through reading and through asking the right questions. I think a lot of us are trying to answer questions, but we don't ask the right questions. So for a lot of my PhD time, actually, I just attended sessions, and I paid attention not so much to the presenter, but I paid attention to what the professors asked of the presenter. And I always go like, how do they even know how to ask questions like that? How do they think from that perspective? And I think the learning to think is important, and then the second thing is to articulate what you're thinking, because you read so much and there is so much information. How do you articulate that within the pages of less than 10,000 words in the most eloquent manner? I think for me, those are the two things. And then it's also an opportunity for you to develop whatever skills you want to develop, whatever it is. For me, it was interviewing skills. And interviewing skills, because my PhD was 100% qualitative. And interviewing skills changed my life forever. It changed the way I interact with people. It changed the way that I think about myself and my relationships with people. And it changed my research trajectory. So that was for me.
Thank you. So, PhD actually when I was young, around 20 years old, actually 20-something years ago. Yeah, so at that time, I really wanted to pursue a PhD. I was a bit naive at that time. I just want PhD. I don't know what it is. I only know those professors teaching me, they are all holding PhD. Yeah, that's what I want. But later on, when I studied my master's degree, and then the experience actually triggers my interest in doing research. I start to realize what it is. And I still, actually I haven't mentioned that I finished my master's degree in Surrey, actually, but in the business school at that time. Not in the same school, actually, yeah. So I read a lot of the articles. Most of my classmates, they're saying, oh, it's so boring. But for me, I find that it's very interesting. Especially, I really love the experience of finding out the answers to the questions. And when I do the analysis, I'm not doing qualitative, and then I'm more doing we call it quantitative. And then before I click the button, I feel really excited. Yeah, so I really want to know the results, the findings, whether my hypothesis is confirmed or not. Yeah, this is the most interesting part to me. And then because of this, I really want to continue my study for PhD. But for some reasons, actually, I couldn't do that, family issues. But eventually, I'm still committed. I have the heart. I really want to do it. So that's why even I become the father, I start my PhD. I know it's a really risk taken. I have to acknowledge my wife at that time. My first daughter was just 6 months old, and then she has to take care of the daughter here. And being a student is very poor. Yeah, I can't even buy the pens for my daughter. Yeah, but she really supported me, and eventually I finished it, and now I have a chance to continue my career and even share my experience here today. Yeah.
Yeah. How can I define the PhD? Is that I would say that PhD is such a journey to find something that made me fun. This is how to say that. So, thank you for your reaction. So let me give you some example when I do my PhD. At Temple University, it's under the Dan Fismeyer, we know that we had a lab, national lab there. So there's a half of it, here's the graduate students here, and the other half of it are technicians. We have a huge database where all the national data, advertising data, we collect a daily basis. At that time, that was my first time ever to look at the huge data. It was about 2007 or 8, even before we have a smartphone, before we have social media at all. So at that time, but we had a lot of data. When I checked it, it gave me a lot of shock. So we have such a data understanding national size of travel behaviors. Analyzing the data, we can better understand what they are doing and why do make that behavior. At that time, I learned code, how to analyze a code using the SQL, such a query or R or whatever, even about 20 years ago. At that time, there are some colleagues in the lab saying that, Sangwon, we are not computer science. We are in tourism. We're supposed to study about travel satisfaction, travel loyalty. What are you doing? But it was really fun to curate the data, analyze the data. So I didn't listen to what my colleagues said. I just do whatever I want, so make me really fun. Once I finish my PhD, can you imagine? Suddenly, all over the world talking about one simple term, which is big data. But literally, this is what we already have done in the lab every day. But some marketers or some the industry people to rename such a technical or skills as a big data. At that time, I was quite highlighted. And then I had a lot of opportunities to come to me. What I want to say is that I didn't intend it, I didn't plan anything. What I have done is that I just following what makes me fun. The ultimately, all the other achievement, academic achievement or reputation, is followed by. But still now on, I'm always looking for what makes me fun in terms of research idea, in terms of services at the university, so then you can make the more encouragement and motivation. I think this is, I would say that the PhD is such a way to find what makes you interesting. Yeah, that's my answer.
Well, this is fantastic. You guys talk about, why and how you did, right? Did you go through any challenges, when you feel like I'm struggling, I don't know what to do, I'm lost? Personally, I did that. I went through a number of things, right? You started questioning myself, right? Should I continue or should I, give up? This is not for me, right? Probably many of us. Did you ever go through those kind of challenges, mentally, whatever, intellectually, right? Do you want? Go ahead, someone. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Challenging every day. Still now, every day, every hour, every moment. Then how I address these challenges then? When I observe we also Kyung University, we have several hundred of graduate students, including master and PhD, and then previous university, Hong Kong or Surrey as well. But what I want to tell the early career researcher is that PhD or doing the research is not on yourself. Of course, we have a limited capacity to understand, to memorize some knowledge or some content. So what I really encourage is that we need to have some collaboration, which means communication. So I have seen that many researchers close their door, only write the paper, never talk to anyone surrounded by. Even the students, they come to the class, they come to their own office or lab, sitting in front of the computer, and they're just writing whatever they want. They never talk to anyone surrounded by. I don't think that is a good idea. Everyone have difficulties. Then why not? You can share why you have challenging difficulties with other colleagues or other professors. And then during the conversation, there are high probability you may have the better solutions or even better idea. This is what we always do, again, in our PhD. We have a huge lab, then technicians here, PhD students here, also at the temple, even students supervised by other professors as well. So we always have a discussing every day. Then always good idea, some of the better solution comes in. Still now, as a professor, I ask the field, who is a head of the school, I ask the question, how often do you have a department meeting with all the professors together? One time monthly, right? One time every month, they're always coming on the same page, on the same table, they're sharing idea, and then coming to good solutions. Even professors or students, no matter who they are, I think the sharing communication, sharing ideas would be one of the best way to address that challenges.
I think, of course, the path is laden with so many challenges, and we can dedicate a whole session just on challenges. But I think for me, I had two, and thinking of it from a student's perspective, it was during my first year of doing this PhD, and it continued until the second year and the third year, and this was the consistent challenge, the challenge that stayed over the years, is this forever tension between, I remember my PhD supervisor saying to me, the work that you're doing, it's good, and it's got a lot of practical implications, but you don't have theoretical implications, and then you don't have a PhD. So if your work is great for industry, but not good for theory building, you don't have a PhD. But if you have theory and you don't have practical implications, it's okay, you have a PhD. And that was the thing I struggled with for a long time. But I understand that now, but that also, the fact that I question this so much is also the reason why I am the kind of academic that I am, that I'm an academic who does industry and government work. And I think that's a nice balance for me. It may not be for everyone, but for me. And then the second challenge, and maybe for many of you sitting in this room, is the challenge that I was never really taken seriously. People will, like I would sit in a lunch table and then, you know, we share the common room with everybody from different schools, and people would come and they will, you know, we'll be talking, and people will say, after talking for a long time, people will say, so which year of a PhD are you in? When I was already an associate professor. So I was never taken seriously. I mean, I could see it as flattering. I was young enough to look like a PhD student. But it's constantly frustrating to never be taken seriously. So that is two of my long-standing challenges amidst everything else.
So I try to recall my memory when I was a PhD student. I think even right now as well, one of the big challenge, I think I can hit the point, is how to get my paper published. Am I right? Yeah, I think it's not only for a PhD student, because for a PhD student, they need paper to find a job. And then for the faculty members, junior faculty members, they need a paper to get promoted, to get tenure. Yeah, this is a very pragmatic and realistic. This would be one of the major challenge. And then, of course, this is really a big challenge. You usually receive much more rejection than R&R or even acceptance of your paper. Yeah, the most important thing is, you will feel very disappointed. Yeah, and then at that time, especially if your paper got rejected for like by three journals already, and then you will try to question yourself whether my research actually is really that bad or not. I think at that point, actually, psychologically, is already a threat to you. The most important thing is, how can we overcome this psychological hurdle? That's very important for our young people. And then what I would say is that first thing is don't give up. Another thing is that not just keep trying, and then instead what you have to do is you really need to find out what's my problem, all right? And then what the field needs actually. Yeah, so, and then one of the ways is I just echo San Wang mentioned that we really need to talk to people. We cannot just close the door to work on our research. I know some researchers may think that I tend to spend my time on research, on writing my paper, instead of going to a conference or being a speaker in some of the symposium, because it takes my time, right? But I have to tell you that actually, if you go to the conference, interact, you will get something actually unexpected. This is based on my experience. This is also the reason why I'm here. I try to support my Dage brothers, right? And all right, so that, yeah, I think you gain something that is really unexpected. So be active, interact with the people. And I know this is a show, actually I also have questions to our two, including Phil as well, if you don't mind, all right? Because, you know, I also want to ask you, actually, comparatively speaking, I'm a junior, all right? Because we have the editor here, we have the managing editor here, and also Phil was an editor as well. How can you balance your life? You know, so many submissions, how can you handle it? I also want to know.
Lawrence, great question, right? So I have two more questions. Maybe we can open up the floor for interaction with the audience. One is, if we say, okay, you guys are super successful, right? Name one or two important, maybe factors, whatever, that kind of gave you the success, right? You kind of, someone, you kind of alluded to it, right? You say collaboration, communication is super important, right? Can you guys think about it and expand on a little bit? What are the most, like for me, I feel like I was super lucky, right, to be part of the group, right? I'm not very smart, but I had the opportunity to hang out with smart people like Uli Gretzel, right? So I feel this is super, I was super lucky. In a very serious way, yes. So what is your thing, right? To put it simply. Who wants to go first? I know it might take maybe a couple minutes to think about it.
Yeah, two things are the important things that one, such a sincerity, another one is attitude. Let me a little bit elaborate. Look at that, I'm Korean, and the English is my second language. But I study in US, and I go to UK as a first job as Surrey. I didn't know anyone in both different countries, but I made my career, quite satisfied way. How does it happen? Because wherever I go, no matter which environment I face to, I always sincere. I always try to honest to them. I try to make the best effort in any places. This is what I did. And then attitude is that I think in the conference, we are meeting those leading scholars you have read article before, and that you are meeting other colleagues over the world. Then attitude is that I always try to approach to them first, and then try to communicate it. This is one of the main regions in the conference we are meeting all here together. Likewise, wherever I go, in US, UK, Hong Kong, in Korea, my attitude is such an open mind. And I try to approach it first, rather than I'm waiting until somebody comes to me. But this is such a proactive attitude, and then sincerity. I think the two are the key factors that make you more successful, no matter where you come from, no matter where you are at this moment. Yeah.
I'm trying to think, even when someone was speaking, I was trying to think, there are so many factors, but if you have to name one, it's so difficult. I don't know what it would be. Probably I would say having this, the end goal, right? Like whatever you're working for, it's not for yourself. So for me, everything that I work for, it's not for me, it's for other people. So if you, all my research is about helping people who were like me, because I had those problems. I was traveling in this tourism space, which is highly gendered, and I had a lot of problems. So I researched how can we make travel spaces safer for women. And that wasn't enough. Research wasn't enough. I had to take the findings to the women. So then that made me want to go to a women's conference and tell my findings to them. And then that wasn't enough, because even though I've done the research and I've told the hoteliers, things aren't changing. So then I decided that I need to have this at a higher level, and that's why I work. And when it opens many doors, and it was so satisfying and gratifying to see member states adopt some of these policies that I write about in the global report. But that wasn't motivated by ambition or wanting to become a UN consultant. It was just driven by who am I researching it for, and how do I get this information to them? So so I think if you have a larger purpose, you can kind of persevere. You can go through the hardships because you have an end goal, right? The bigger world. I think that is my main, the most success, I think the factor that attributed to that. And then the second thing, I think, is really the people, you know. Choose very carefully the people that you want to work with and go where they celebrate you. Go where you are seen. There are many places where you can go to, either because of your gender, of the color of your skin. People will never celebrate you no matter what, no matter how hard you work, no matter how good you are. So don't go to that space. You know, go to spaces where they will celebrate you, and then the places that hadn't celebrated you will now see you, you know, when you are seen in other places. So don't struggle when it's not necessary. Find your tribe, find your people, find the people who trust you and have confidence in you and wants to celebrate you and support you. And I think I learned through hardship that road. You know, I didn't immediately go. I just went where I was tolerated for a long time, and then I found the place where I was celebrated. And so I think this is really important to tell you guys, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm lucky that actually I've got longer time to think about this. Yeah, it's not an easy question actually. Yeah, for me, I will always, I've got a fire in my heart to do the research. I try to think about like whether this fire is stronger or weaker. I would say it's stronger than when I was a PhD student. And I really want to make some changes, especially not only in the academic community, but also in the industry as well. I still remember that many industry people, they are saying that, oh, you're the researchers, you're working in the ivory tower. Actually, you just work by yourself, actually. Yeah, so, and then you are not going to provide any useful implications to us. I really want to make changes. I really want them to adopt our implications, to find the actual implications is really valuable. I still remember I once talked to a senior executive somewhere in the Kotai Strip. I just asked, see whether I can do some field experiment. Yeah, but she immediately declined my request. I still remember that actually, but I really want to make changes. Yeah, I don't just want to stay in my office to write a paper. I really want my implications and go to the industry and then see some positive outcome. So this is also the fire in my heart as well, why I keep doing research, and then I really want to do something meaningful.
One last question from me. You know, this is about smart tourism, right? Where I want to bring you back to kind of to share a little bit your thought about technology, right? We, as editors, as scholars, you know, 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, Wooly, remember we were part of Enter Conference where, you know, technology was the kind of the niche area, right? Now it's, technology, of course, is mainstream, right? Regardless whether you are tourism management or tourism management perspective or JHTR, right? You know, a lot of manuscripts, right, are about technology or related to technology. So now we're talking about smart tourism, AI, that kind of stuff. So what's your view in a very concise way of how technology is driving the field of tourism in terms of knowledge creation?
I have 1 second to think about your question. Okay. Think about it. It's okay. It's okay. It's never mind. Well, yeah. What's the role of technology in knowledge development in tourism? I think that the last week, so I was invited to Impact Conference in Hong Kong, and I shared a little bit about my thoughts. What's the impact of AI in tourism knowledge? I would say that with the advancement of technology, like a smartphone or social media, or even now, ChatGPT like generative AI, these such mega technology comes in our society in general, and tourism industry in particular. So these such technology emergence somehow allow us a new opportunity to explore the research area where we have not sufficiently explored before. For example, when somebody do the travel behavior research, most travel behavior literature focusing on pre-trip and the post-trip stage on it. Why? We can easily collect the data. Before they go to travel, we ask them question, what's your motivation, what you expected, what do you think important when you visit the destination? Even post-trip, why do we have TripAdvisor or Expedia? We can collect data. But still, the stage of a dream trip is such a not well-developed area. Well, because scholars are not smart enough to explore it? No, of course not. Because it was quite challenging to collect the data, their travel behavior at the destination. But with the technology, advancement somehow allow us to explore and then collect the data, what they're actually doing at the destination. For example, we have a GPS data, like a smartphone. Everyone have your smartphone. We can track where they're moving around. Credit card data, we know what they're purchasing. Also, Instagram, YouTube, or any social media, they real-time upload their activities, their experience in the digital platform. With the AI or with the technology, so these such skills or such techniques, so giving us such explore the data, allow us to better understand some behavior science in that certain stage. So I believe that this such a new such a gig, give us more broader aspect to better understand their behaviors, and they have the more generating new knowledge in tourism field, I think.
I'm going to say something really controversial. I don't know anything about technology. I cannot even Snapchat my son. But what I'm doing actually with technology, I think it's really scary that many of us try to work on a buzzword that is picking up trend. You know, we want to publish, so we do work on this area, but we haven't been immersed in this area, and we all try and do it and pretend that we know it. I think that's really dangerous, and that's why the papers that I see that come through TMP, I see like almost a level of trying too hard to go into an area that we don't know about. And that's why Dan, who is sitting there, she's our managing editor for TMP. She's from Sichuan University. So that's why Dan and I, we started talking to computer science people to try and create this special issue on AI for tourism, because I think we need to tap into the knowledge of the people who have been working on this before AI came about. They have been working on this and they know it. So we are actually working with someone in computer science who is listed. Actually, we talk about Stanford's 2%, top 2%, which is like 300,000 or whatever, but this guy is actually the number 2 guy in computing science. So he's done a lot of work in this area. So that's what we're trying to do with that. So I think we also need to have this humility and be humble about accepting what we don't know. And actually, if you have a paper that admits to not knowing, what is it we don't yet know in tourism? We would love to have that kind of paper, you know, that pure, honest opinion pieces even, to say, we don't know shit.
Yeah, I keep thinking about this question, actually, especially nowadays in the AI era. And then one thing I really want to talk to all those young researchers, don't let AI generate or bias our findings, actually. Why I want to say this, because recently in Hong Kong, there's something happened in one of the universities, one of the professors, actually, for the paper, people find out that actually most of the contents from AI and even the reference, that the reference is not real. Yeah, that's really an issue. And then, you know, for my year 1 PhD students, and then I will ask them, how intensive you're using AI when you're writing research. Actually, of course, we can't avoid using AI. It depends on how strong we will. For sure, when I write a paper, you know, in the past 10 years, I didn't have AI. And I really want my students actually will write a paper actually using their brain rather than using AI's brain to generate the knowledge. Otherwise, human will not be able to improve or grow in the future.
I think you know, like we are thinking of such sophisticated ways to research AI, but actually there are such very basic things with AI that that industry and government needs. I remember about 10 years ago, we were commissioned by the state of Queensland in Australia to do a report for the it's called the digital workforce for the tourism industry. And what we found was the majority of the tourism stakeholders, tourism small businesses in Queensland were not prepared digitally. They don't have a social media presence. They don't know how to even begin, and they are able to do the job, but they don't know how to read the stats. They don't engage with it. So that was before AI, right? And then we also did a project for the government of Mexico and Ecuador where we train women in rural areas to use like Airbnb platforms to put their businesses on the digital space so that they tap into a bigger economic market. But that was so basic. And I remember when we were doing this training for them, we were thinking like, oh, we're going to have this training and this, but they don't even have internet connection. So, you know, like we don't have to go so big and so sophisticated. Solve the basic fundamental problems of the world, and that will be great.
All right, let's open the floor for questions from the audience. We have about maybe 7-8 minutes. Questions? Yes. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Very insightful suggestion to our PhD students from these professors. So I'm come from IMIS. I'm not major in tourism, hospitality management, but I fall in love with tourism maybe in 2020 when I started my PhD journey. So I have a question. Because I'm majoring in MIS, how can I enhance my knowledge about tourism and hospitality as a full-time PhD student? Because I'm not part-time PhD student, I can't go to industry work. I can do some, what can I do? Only read TM, GTR, these top-tier journals in tourism and hospitality. It's the only way I can learn from those papers. Also, I attend a lot of famous professor classes in our university, like some professor and Trevor Ko and Cheng Dan Mo. Yeah. HCR 1% in 2024, 2025. So my question is, how enhance my knowledge about tourism and hospitality? Because I'm a full-time PhD student. I can't go to work. And how can I get data from the industry, tourism and hospitality industry? Because what can I do? Only current data from website and social media platform. But I think it will maybe a big problem in 10 years later, because I think it's not the correct way to get the data. I need real industry data. As a student, I'm not a professor. So it's about 2 questions. Thank you. enhance, yeah, I'm from, enhance my tourism.
Oh, I don't think you need to work in the industry. Yeah, I know you've got an MIS background, right? And then, you know, for tourism and hospitality, we've got a lot of research problems. Yeah. So you may not need to work there to find a problem. Actually, being a consumer, being a hotel guest, problem as well. Yeah. So that I think, yeah, this is actually an easy way to find something which is meaningful for you to resolve. You are using your MIS, like IS analytics skill set. Yeah. So, and then of course another way is to try to read a paper in our field as well. But I will always emphasize to my student is that not just read the paper, you also need to go to the field to see so that you'll be able to find some interesting questions to address. And sorry, what? Access to data. Yeah, it's also something I really want to do for, you know, especially when I was a PhD student or when I was a junior faculty member. Echoing to my early sharing is that you cannot just stay in your office to work in front of the computer. You have to engage with the people, like the industry people. Yeah, of course, you have an IS skill and then you can just crawl the data, all right, but it's still very limited. You may also want some of the real behavior data in the hotel, and then in this case, you have to walk outside trying to communicate with those industry practitioners, and then and let them trust you, and then one day you will be able to get it. Yeah, and for me as well, I also went through that kind of path, and recently I really, because of in a restaurant, so that I also got the data, the customer's data, behavioral data from a dim sum restaurant, and try to do the analysis, provide some implications to them as well.
I think data is not a problem, actually. Yeah, there are so much data floating around. You just have to know what data you're looking for and then go to the right places. But one of the places that I found the most data is actually working for the United Nations. So if you are a consultant to the United Nations, you have access to their library and you can get all sorts of data. And they have a Department of Economics with economists and statisticians to help you extract anything. So, and they actually have a research internship program that you can apply and join. So for you who is doing a full-time PhD, you have time to do that. So that's something that you might want to explore. But I would say, the other thing is, I think observation is very important. You need to develop a keen observation of what's going on in the world of tourism. So when you travel, when you go into a restaurant, when you go to a hotel, don't consume, don't just be a consumer, be an observer and observe, what are people doing, what are the trends, who's making these decisions, who gets to influence these decisions. When you do your research, what good, who is it serving, and are you serving that community? I think observation is key, and asking questions. So we can all read, but reading is passive, you're just receiving. But so after you read, what do you synthesize? What questions are you asking, and what other questions can you ask that they haven't asked? What's the missing gap? So ask questions and then observe and try to find answers to those. But also, go to industry conferences. Don't just go to academic conferences. For me, in a year, if I go to, say, for example, if I go to 50 conferences, 30 will be industry and 20 will be academic, right? So go to industry conferences. I can say, though, however, that industry conferences are very expensive, but you can get into industry conferences by volunteering. So just write to them and say, they always need volunteers, or you can give them something. But also, give your own expertise. So you can, for example, there are so many ways to getting access into these kind of conferences. So try and do that. But you're asking the right questions, so keep going.
To answer your question, first of them, I think you have a different major, like MIS, is quite beneficial for you. So rather, as opposed to only tourism, because you have a different angle to look at the social tourism phenomenon in a different way. I think I quite respect diversity, who have a different background. And then you are asking there how you can improve your tourism domain. I somehow a little bit disagree with Lawrence. To be honest, hands-on experience, you must have it. You're full-time student, so why not? You can have one summer break, or for 6 months, go to hotel, or go travel agency, or destination marketing organization, have experiences. It's much, much better than just watching YouTube, reading the books. It's only indirect experiences. Yeah, hands-on, your direct experience is much more valuable than that, because we are applied science. If you don't know industry, you cannot make implications. So I think I strongly suggest to you, go to the industry, have some experiences. This is super important. And the second one, yeah, you said how we can get the data from industry. I think people know here, so I'm doing the mobile data. So the question becomes, how can I get the mobile data? Can you imagine how much I knock their door to the Korea Telecom, KT, for example? I was a professor at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. I was a faculty member. And then I have a back and forth to the Korea government so many times. It takes 4 years to assess the data. One time, they said, who are you? I'm a professor, I'm a Sangwon-Par. They said, so what? Yeah, from that beginning, to be honest. When you're trying to knock their doors, new opportunity comes to you. The door never open, but they always find another way, some people who help you to find a new way I never thought about. Then once I get the opportunity, I did my best and to provide the best outcome and performance, and then we make a trustworthiness, the reliability between. Then the follow-ups of the process is much, much easier than before. So student, it's quite hard, to be honest. So why not collaborate with your supervisors and then keep trying to knock their door? That would be I think, a new opportunity when it comes to you.
Can I collaborate with you? Thank you, Professor.
Well, thank you so much, Catherine, Sangwon, and Lawrence, for sharing your insights and personal experience in developing your scholarship. Right? Thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause.